So welcome back. I decided to do something different for this episode. As you can see, I finally decided to finish building my house and I decided to show that by doing a time lapse. And I also decided to talk over because I finally came up with a topic to talk about. The topic I wanted to talk about was something I thought of because I kept seeing people meeting like content creators in real life and stuff. And it made me think about how I physically cannot tell who you are if I've only seen an image of you and then I meet you in person. By that I mean, if I see an image of you and then I meet you later in person, I physically will not recognize who you are because I cannot recognize your face from photos. And I didn't realize this was an issue until COVID. Doing online university was fine. I didn't think there was a big issue of it. It was keeping us safe. It was harder to learn online, but we were still being safe. I didn't realize it was such an issue until we came back. Because these people I've met online, who I became friends with online, now I couldn't recognize them in a crowd. I couldn't recognize them in front of me. I have three main stories that come to mind when I think of, I did not recognize this person when I first met them, even though I knew them. The first story is the funniest because it wasn't just my mistake. The first semester we went back was also the first semester I got hired to work at my university. And I went back early to do some training. I walked in and I physically couldn't recognize anyone, even though I've met my boss and all my managers before I actually went back. So I was sitting there just so confused. Like, I didn't recognize anyone, but I saw everyone going to say hi to one guy. With the fact of all my coworkers saying hi to this one guy, I assumed he was my boss. Even though I physically could not recognize him, I just assumed. So I went up and I said hi. And he looked at me and he went, "Who are you?" And that made me feel so much better because not only did I not recognize him, he didn't recognize me. And that, like, I don't know if that's a good thing. Like, maybe, like, I'm not that recognizable. I don't know. But I felt happy that I wasn't the only one who just didn't know who some people were. And even though he had met me before as well on a video call, I had a video call with all the boss, my boss, all the boss, my boss and all the managers. So they all saw how we looked without a mask on. That is the only story that I feel good about not recognizing people because the other person I didn't recognize, my boss in this case, also didn't recognize me. But that also means I didn't tell him. He has no idea, and we're gonna keep it like that because I didn't let him live it down. In my defense, it was funny. Sadly, that wasn't the case in this second story because my friend, that's the worst part. You know what? The worst part is that she is my friend. And she recognized me and I could not recognize her. Basically, my university did a semester called a J-term for the first year of COVID, and it was the semester between the fall and the spring semester. And they offered a free class for the biology kids, so I took it. In this class, we were talking about COVID and the recent research that was being done, so there was a lot of scientific readings, but the presentations were done in groups, same with the readings. So I was put in a group with three other girls, and wonderful women, truly wonderful and smart women in biology, women in STEM, wonderful. And I had met two of them in person later on because we had similar classes, and I had recognized them because they had responded to their name. So I was like, okay, that's them. But the third girl in the group, I never had a class with her. I never got to have a class with her. I never got the chance. And she is the one I did not recognize when she first saw me. I was walking out the science building. She was walking in and she said hi to me. And I said hi back, but I was saying hi back because I was being polite. I had no idea who she was. And I feel so bad to this day because she is such a great friend. And this did not happen just once. Well, I saw her and I didn't recognize her. This happened multiple times. Well, I just physically could not recognize her. I've seen photos of her. I recognized her in video and everything else except in person. And I felt so bad because it kept happening over and over again. After the third time, I finally recognized her. But I felt so bad for so long. She was so sweet to be so patient with me because it was so clear each time I just did not recognize her. Like, I knew her full name and everything. It wasn't like I didn't know who she was. It's just I physically couldn't connect the pictures I've seen with her herself. And it's not like she didn't look like her pictures. She did. I don't know what goes on in my head where I physically cannot identify someone from a photo. I also like to preface, I feel like it's obvious by the mangrove plant, but I am also a woman in STEM. I studied conservation biology. I am very proud of that fact, if you couldn't tell. Now we have the third and last story. And I'll admit, I do not feel bad about this one. 100% not. But apparently, everyone was so surprised that I could not identify this man. Now, you might be thinking, who is this man? Because I didn't even recognize my own boss. But also, my own boss didn't recognize me. So, potato. This man was the president of the university. Yeah, like the president of the university. Like, who cares? Like, if you don't go to that university. But if you go to that university, obviously you're going to see a bunch of videos of him. Like, he's walking around the university. Like, he's always there. Like, he has a house nearby the university so he can go in and out. Like, obviously you should know who this man is. On that note, I don't think I can recognize any president of any country if they walked in front of me, by the way. But we're talking about the president of a university, the university I went to, so I should have recognized this man. But I didn't. I did not recognize this man. And the only reason why I even knew it was him that walked by me was because everyone I was with was like, that was the president, that is Mr. President of the university. And I said, who? I don't see him. And they just all looked at me and said, are you kidding, right? It was the guy who walked past us. And I had to admit to my friends who also went to this university, who recognized him, who knew how he looked, and knew that I knew how he looked. And I had to look them in the eyes and said, was that actually him? I can't tell. I don't recognize him. Oh my God, I was so embarrassed because everyone was like, yeah, duh, it's the president of the university. How would you not recognize him? Because I haven't actually told my friends that I can't recognize people from images. I have to meet them first and then I can recognize them. Because like, how do you even talk about that? How do you even go to your friends like, hey, no idea who this guy is. Seen them in photos, but no idea how they look in person. Not that I don't know how they look like, it's that I can't recognize them, even though I know how they look. I'm gonna defend myself a little bit more because I feel like he didn't even really come out of like his office and stuff during this semester, so I feel like I get a pass. Just saying. I saw one of the deans more than I saw the president, too. So before I continue on my point, I found a goat horn and I didn't know what it did. So I'm about to show a little clip of what mine did. Anyways, the whole point of the stories and stuff is the fact that, to shoe in the fact that if I saw my favorite content creators in real life, I would not be able to recognize them. That was my conclusion.